All right, Dodger fans. So here we are. We lost the series. Man, it's been a long time since we lost the series. Kind of hard to believe. It's been 9 series that we participated in. We won 8 of them. We lost 1. And so we go to Chicago, play a good team, and we lose 2 out of 3. That first one was a tough one. Well, there's a line. 323-664-5431. We're going to talk a lot of Dodger stuff today. You got Brian Robitaille from Dodgers Nation, who's going to sit in as a guest host for Hollywood and for Ron Sabanka. And someday down the road here, we're going to have Ross Porter on here, which is going to be kind of fun. But as for now, we got Brian Robitaille. So, hey, Brian, how you doing, buddy? You with us?
Yeah, I'm here. I could barely hear you, but yeah, I'm here.
Okay.
How you doing?
Yeah, listen. I'll turn this way and you'll be able to hear me a little bit. That a little bit better?
Yeah, that's a little better.
Yeah, okay. It's gonna be a little tough to hear me, but that's cool. So 2 out of 3. Let me just throw it right at you, Brian. Brian that writes for Dodgers Nation. I had him on the show a little while ago. We were talking about all-time Dodgers teams because he put together a pretty cool article where he did polls, which I thought was kind of fair to throw it out to the fans, and then he did his own analysis and did an all-time Dodgers, and so we talked about that. So I reached out to him and said, hey, man, you want to come on talk baseball with me? And he said, sure. So one of the things I've noticed you've been putting out there, Brian, is you've been talking a little bit about the Dodgers offense. You want to talk about that for a second? I'll let you roll with it.
Yeah, I mean, hasn't been the best over the last week or so. I know they got some bad luck today. There's no question about that. They hit some balls hard, and the wind wasn't helping. And then just some sheer bad luck, just hitting it at folks. But yeah, they just overall, they're just not, at the end of the day, they're not putting up runs, and they're hitting with the runners in scoring position. It just has been bad. But it's baseball. What can you do? Like you said, they went 9 series, I think a span of over a month without losing a series. So, it was destined to happen. You're not going to win every series. So, the Cubs are a good team. Didn't face, I guess, the gauntlet of pitching with Mike Montgomery and Tyler Chatwood or anything. But you got to tip their hat. They did just enough to keep the Dodgers at bay, didn't give up the big hits. But yeah, their offense it's been scuffling for a little bit. Even in the series against San Francisco, they won 2 out of 3, but I think they put up a total of 7 runs in 3 games. And so, yeah, it's just been, a little quiet spelling. Nothing to get too concerned about. But, it's just, I guess, a little cold still. So I don't know.
It's kind of interesting. The Dodgers did hit the ball hard today. And, it's easy to say, they hit the ball hard. And so, it was kind of hitting some tough luck. And this is how this team, and really in just baseball even, but and the Dodgers are pretty indicative of baseball teams right now. I think this is how it's going to go. I mean, for fans, when you have, when you're built around, when we were winning those series, Brian, we were cranking the ball out of the park, by and large.
Yeah.
And when you do rely on launch angle and all this new kind of approach to hitting, and you hit the ball in the air, you're gonna go through periods where the ball, you just can't hit home runs every game, and so you're gonna go through periods where the ball's not gonna do what you want it to do, especially when you land in Wrigley Field, and the ball's blowing in like that. People think Wrigley Field is such a little bandbox that people are gonna hit the ball out without any sort of difficulty. But when the wind's blowing in, that place is impossible to hit a home run in.
Yeah, definitely. It goes from when the wind's blowing out to a great hitter's park to a total 180 when the wind's blowing in there. So, but like you said, you live and die by the long ball, and the Dodgers did have a couple opportunities to, and that was what was frustrating. It wasn't just the lack of hits, but doing the little things like moving the runner over, and people call that small ball. That's not small ball. That's just smart baseball. You don't have to lay down a bunt every time to get the runner over. You have to make contact, hit to the other side. So it's those things that kind of get frustrating for me seeing it. But yeah, they don't really do that type. There was a couple situations where they could have played, I guess, the quote unquote small ball, but the opportunity didn't really, Grandal was up, what was it, the 7th or 8th inning yesterday, down 1. I think there was down 1, and now in second, no one out. Perfect bunt opportunity depending on who's up, but Grandal's not a bunter. I think, I don't think anyone, would deny that. So, I mean, you can't really fault him, I guess. If it's anyone else, though, you could probably raise the debate, hey, move the runner over, get him over to third with less than 2 outs, and let's tie this game. Same thing in the ninth. I think Muncy was up, man, on first, no one out. That one's another questionable. Do you want to bunt there? And Muncy's up, he's been one of your best hitters all year. So, I mean, not saying they should have bunted at all. I don't think either situation, I probably wouldn't have done it in either. But those are just examples of times where the opportunity presented itself to maybe play small ball and try to manufacture a run when you have those elements. You're playing in a stadium where you're not going to be able to hit home runs all the time. So
yeah,
that's what I took of it.
Yeah, and home runs just are not going to be there, day in and day out is the thing. And it just get used to streaky baseball. Now, this guy right here, I do believe this is the kind of hitter, Justin Turner also, guys that will, because, when in the World Series you might dry up, or in a playoff game you might dry up on your home runs. You have to be able to play well-rounded baseball. And like you say, small ball isn't just bunting, it's moving guys over and putting the bat on the ball and at least trying to put the ball in play to where, hey, you know what, this other team can make an error now, right?
Yeah.
So I mean, I guess what I'm kind of the conclusion I'm kind of coming to is this is how it's going to be in baseball for the Dodgers and for a lot of teams actually. When you play launch angle and you play exit velocity and then live by the sword and die by the sword.
Yeah, I think, and it's the progressive movement all across baseball. Like you said, it's not just the Dodgers.
No.
It's just kind of this new wave coming through with launch angles and hit in the air and anti-bunt, anti-steal, just kind of that whole mindset, which I'm not saying is bad. I take parts of every different opinion. I think there's certain parts of it that are great, certain parts of it that I still a little skeptical on. But it's like you said, you live by it and you die by it. So I mean, if it's working, it's great. If it's not, then you start questioning it, and we'll see how it goes. But it's nothing major. There was some bad luck this series, some bad approaches, combination of both, and it's only been about a week of struggles or so since the offense has looked great. So we'll see how it goes going forward. Hopefully they get it together in New York.
Yep, and I think they will. I mean, it's going to be New York's just an awful team, so I think they really should. I'm going to go ahead and read some of the things that people are putting out on social media here real quick. Let's see. I'm not panicking, but let's call spade a spade. We aren't the championship caliber team with the current players. Aaron Gomez. Okay. I think that's a fair analysis. I mean, I can certainly disagree with it, but I'm not going to say it's wrong. I mean,
Mm-hmm.
And then.
Yeah,
Yeah, go ahead, Brian.
No, I mean, yeah, it's a little, I don't think you could discount them from a championship caliber team just yet. That's, there's a lot of baseball to be played, so we'll see. They're still right in the hunt of the West. All you have to do is kind of tread water. You win the division, you get in the playoffs. It's a whole new game. So yeah, I'm not really ready to go that far yet, but there might be some concerns going forward. But like I said, you got to get healthy first, and then you got a lot of baseball to play. So.
Oh yeah, I'm totally. And this wasn't a bad series. I mean, the Dodgers went into one of the better teams in the National League and gave them a hell of a run for their money. Let's see what else we got. I want to see the Dodgers acquire a guy who can get hits, and that's why I put this particular image up. I think Andrew Toles is the type of player who can get us through those. Oh, geez, we're not hitting home runs right now. We're going through a little bit of a rough thing with launch angle. I mean, he has the tools, I think, to kind of help the team get through that sort of thing. We kind of have a blend of not all, but a lot of players who are the same type of swing. Jock, Bellinger. I mean, so it might be helpful to have along the way someone like a Toles, right, who can come in and okay, we need a guy just to move the ball, just to put it in play. We just need to put it in play because there's a guy in third and we need this run real bad, and this guy might be able to do it. So, and then and so Aaron Gomez says launch angle is the worst hitting approach ever invented, and I'm not going to go that far, but I will. I do have my batting coach Billy the Bell Ringer. And Billy the Bell Ringer, my batting coach, used to say, hey, man, you know what? Hit it, swing as hard as you can, make that bell ring. Make that bell ring. By the way, I want to say something about these these particular things real quick is a little off base. If you ever go to a carnival and you need to hit one of these, the key is, I had a guy who sets these things up tell me one time, usually if you can get the flat, the mallet, the flat part of the mallet to land as flat as it can on top of that disc that you're hitting, just as flat as it can, then it goes straight up and hits the bell. But if at all if you just kind of hit it with the edge of your mallet, one way or the other, even a little bit, that's why real big, strong guys can't ring the bell, because they're swinging like crazy, but they're not hitting that thing just flat. And so he taught me I can ring that bell every time now, and it frustrates the guys that run the thing. But just a little hot tip from my batting instructor.
Nice. Yeah. That's cool.
So Robert Wallace is considering what a team was 30 games ago. Can't be playing playoff baseball in June. True, this is not playoff baseball, but it was two playoff caliber teams, so it was a nice measurement. And Adele says, bring back more small ball. It's fun to watch and makes for different levels of excitement in the game. I agree. I'm an old school guy, but I don't necessarily. For me, home runs are fun when they happen at the right time, but they can make a game boring real fast. What do you think about that comment, Brian?
Yeah. I think I agree with that. I mean, Game 5 of the World Series was the worst. Not because we lost, just because it was like every ball hit was just a home run on both sides. I was like, really? I mean, come on, it's getting a little ridiculous. But yeah, I think it has its limits. I mean, don't get me wrong, it's fun to watch someone go yard. But yeah, it gets, I think a team just needs to be versatile. It's great if you can hit home runs, but then when you need it, when you need to move a runner, when you need to get that one run, It'd be nice to see him lay one down or do play the other side of the coin, and be able to do that. So that's, just having balance, I think, is the big thing. I think that's a good sign of a good team. Yeah,
being one-dimensional really in anything. I mean, unless you're Mike Tyson for those 2 years, he could just go in the middle of the ring and punch someone in the face and knock them down. I mean, being one-dimensional is not really in anything in life, really. You don't want to be too one-dimensional. You want to be well-rounded. So, and then someone saying, let's go get DeGrom, Brian.
Yeah, I've seen that. I've seen that out there a lot. I would love Jacob DeGrom. Don't get me wrong. I love him. I think he would really add to the rotation. He's a solid guy. He's proven himself. A couple questions with that though. What's it going to cost? I mean, I get surprised more and more about the cost of these prospects on these packages that it's needed to reel in one of these guys, a frontier starter like DeGrom, and you never know what's going to cost. I mean, if they can swing it. Obviously Buehler would be off the table, but, you have other pieces. Verdugo's there. They got a plethora of outfielders. I've been saying since spring training they should deal from their surplus of outfielders, no matter who it is. I mean, if the package is right. But, that's question A. Who's it going to cost? Is it going to, have to give up Ruiz and Verdugo and a couple of other ones? And then the other thing is that really the need right now with Kershaw coming back, obviously dependent on his health, but you got Kershaw coming back, Hill coming back, Buehler hopefully. Urias is kind of, you never know, he may be back. And then you got the rest of the rotation, Wood, Stripling. I don't know if starting pitching is a need. It's great to have. It's definitely a luxury. If you could get DeGrom at the right price, yeah, all for it. But that's the thing. You got to balance your needs, and I think bullpen help might be a little bit more pressing. But I wouldn't mind DeGrom. It's just if the package is right.
I totally agree with you. What is the point? A little tired here, off limits, guys. Mark Morales says the key piece, they want Buehler. We're not giving up Buehler for LeBron. That's done. And so not worth giving him up with Kershaw out so soon. I totally think you're on it completely, though, Brian, when you say, let's deal from our surplus. I mean, we got a lot of outfielders, and only 3 or 4 of them can play. Right, and I'm one of those people. I know a lot of people say, "What's the big deal about Tolles?" I mean, I don't even know his numbers. I just know by watching him play and kind of what a Dodger need is, that he would be a good fit right now. So, it wouldn't be. I lost you, Brian. Nope.
Yeah, I'm still here.
Okay, that's someone calling him. Let me disconnect that one. All right. So. I'm thinking, deal an outfielder. Say you were to bring up Tolles, deal an outfielder that's really at the top of his, might not get any better than he is right now, and And, maybe if you're going to have to go for someone like a DeGrom, the way to do it is with a couple outfielders. I do not, and Verdugo,
Yeah.
I do not want to get rid of Verdugo. I would rather get rid of two guys that are playing regularly right now than get rid of Verdugo at all. So I would say, go ahead.
I'm with you on that. Yeah, I'm with you on that. I'm a fan of his. I think I honestly don't even care. I mean, at the beginning of the season, it was like Matt Kemp, let's get rid of him and his salary and just take him off our hands on there. And now he's developed into the best outfielder. And now who knows what kind of offers you get out of him. But, you have Jock who's producing now, but he's been, the thing with Jock is that he's so inconsistent. He goes through these big surges where he'll do good and then people buy into him and then he'll dip again. He did it last year coming off the deal. People thought, oh, we have a new Jock Peterson. It was like, no, he went back down and he's done that. And not saying he's bad. He's fine for what he is. He's just kind of a streaky hitter. And then, you got Verdugo and Toll just waiting. Verdugo's ready. I think he hit, another home run the other day. I mean, he's been on fire in AAA. He hit well down there last year, too, and he's hit at every level. He's major league ready, in my opinion. There's no room for him with the Dodgers. Same with Andrew Tolles. There's just no room right now. And even Puig, I wouldn't even say Puig's off the table. I mean, if you could get it off, I just don't know if the front office would want to dip into the and mess with the quote unquote chemistry with the people who's been there for a while. So Peterson, Puig, will they really want to deal those guys right in the middle of the season? I don't know. I mean, I wouldn't mind it, but I don't know if they would. I think they'd rather deal maybe a Tolles or a Verdugo or one of the other prospects. But yeah, I'm all for. Look, we got a plethora here where it's not needed. I'm all for depth. Depth is great, but if it's overused or if it's not utilized right, and you're just got these guys wasting away in AAA, I mean, that could probably be better used somewhere else, in my opinion.
Yeah. Well, the thing is, you got to make a trade that hurts because I don't want to lose Puig, and do I want to lose Peterson? Not really. I mean, I think the most tradable player, as far as other teams maybe seeing value in this guy, and maybe he's a better fit for a team that doesn't have the potent power that they need, and they need to blend that direction, would be Peterson. I mean,
mm-hmm.
I think he's probably the most, as far as letting go of something as a Dodger fan, and you got to let go of something to get something back. For me, I think Peterson is the most obvious trade bait. So.
No, yeah, and I agree because you have Verdugo there, and Peterson has always proven, even when he's up on his high streak, he still struggles against lefties. He's still basically a part-time platoon player because when the lefties pitching, you're going to put in someone else out there. So, and Verdugo and Tolles, we don't know that yet. If they can hit lefties, they've done it at the minor league level a lot better than he did. So, yeah, I'm with you. If you had to part with one and get maybe like a relief, some bullpen help or something, I think that's the direction, that I would go. But, we'll see what they do.
Yeah, we'll see. And I don't know that it's right now is any time that anybody's going, Jesus, we got to make a trade right now, because this is that's the sort of thing that kind of happens down the road as things define themselves a little more and the season takes shape. So,
yeah.
So, Dodger fans, there's a number. It's always during these day games. It's funny. We get we do pretty good. Let's see here. Where am I at? Our audience is growing. We do pretty good on the different platforms. We got today, I think. We're on Facebook, and are we on Twitch today? I don't know if we're on Twitch. Charlie? All right. Well, anyway. So we're at least on Facebook today. And during days, it's hard to get people to respond because everybody's working. But a lot of people will watch this show afterwards and the next day. And, for instance, on Facebook, and on a recent show we had about 4,000 people reached, and we had about 1,900 views, which isn't real views. But that's 2 or 3, couple hundred Dodger fans over time. So we're getting heard by Dodger fans, and we're hearing back from them. The main thing is I want you guys to call in because we want to hear from you. The whole idea of the show. There's a lot of shows out there where people are talking to their buddy, and they're talking. But I'm more interested in talking to the fans, which is why I have different guest hosts on. And Brian, you're doing a great job, by the way. Thank you. So there's a number. Call in. Obviously, if you're watching this after the Cubs the next day, then don't call in. But I don't want to spend too much time harping on call in because that's stale content. It won't be valuable tomorrow. But right now, call in, because also, if you call in your first time caller, I'll let you pick from one of these. Anybody who calls in right now and talks Dodger baseball just a little bit and isn't just lame, we'll get to pick out one of these items, and I'll send it to you. All right? So until then, there's a couple things I wanted to do. Brian, do you have your computer on?
I do.
Okay,
I do.
So you're on a little bit of a delay. Tell me when that eyeball comes up on the baseball. I want to know.
Hold on. I don't think I'm on because you're not on YouTube this time, are you?
No, we're on Facebook.
Okay. I don't have a Facebook account anymore, so I have to see if this will even let me.
No, you know what? Don't worry about it.
Here.
Don't worry about it. Let me see if I can't do this another way. So this is a thing called. I can do this without you seeing this screen, Brian. As long as you can hear me. So this is called Eye on Baseball, and basically what this is a little segment I'm going to do now to talk a little bit about things that other places are dealing with. And so there's this whole sabermetrics community, right, Brian? You know who sabermetrics is, right?
Yeah.
So you go to their site, and I'm just kind of going to pass the news along. I get emails from people. Well, can you maybe talk about this on the show or that on the show? Well, I got one from the sabermetrics, someone over at sabermetrics, and they said on June 20th and 24th, they're having their sabermetrics convention. That'll be a babe fest, I'm sure. But the sabermetrics.
Yeah, I've heard of those. Yeah, I've heard of those.
Yeah. So in Pittsburgh on the 20th, you're in Pittsburgh on the 20th or 24th, and we do get people watching from all over the country. Go check it out. I'd like to go check this out. What do you figure they get together and talk about, Brian, on the sabermetrics convention?
You know, I think so. This is something I would love to do, honestly, because I'm all for the advanced data and even the stuff that I'm skeptical of. You know, a lot of people push the data and they're like, oh, you know, this and this, but they don't understand it. And I'll be the first to admit there's a lot of stuff I still don't understand about it. That doesn't mean I turn it off. It just means I want to know more. Okay, how do you get this? Let me see the math behind it. You know, let me actually, and it might not be for everyone. I don't know how much people are interested in it, but it really interests me. There was one out in Arizona, something like that. There's a sabermetrics thing. It was a couple years ago that I was going to go to. But I wasn't able to. But yeah, that's something like that. I think it would be awesome because if you're interested in the advanced data and a lot of these stats that are coming out, these new stats, you know, something like this would really, I think, break it down and hopefully make sense to people because, you know, I think a lot of people are turned off by it because they just don't understand it. They're just like, well, you know, I'm not going to calculate that, or how do you do that, But, you know, a lot of it, once you actually break it down and get into it, I think it'll make a lot more sense. So, you know, I gotta check out one of these times because I got a bunch of questions myself I would like to see and some ideas I would like to throw by people on a lot of these different stats that I'm, you know, skeptical of or have questions on. So that'd be pretty cool to go to, in my opinion.
Yeah, I think I would have a good time there too, to be honest with you. My thing is, I'm on the show. I'm always trying to make, you know, the average fan is not going to get into the stats world like a lot of the sabermetrics guy. You know, I mean, maybe the sabermetrics people are running general managers, and maybe there's 2% of baseball fans that are really into sabermetrics. Most fans aren't into it, but it's cool to kind of look at things. I remember when I first learned about ERA when I was a kid. You know, it taught me a little bit of math.
Yeah. I
kind of learned how to apply it. I saw how some people would misapply it. Like, for instance, I know people are talking about wins and losses for pitchers. Who got the win yesterday for the Dodgers? He got one out. Was it Paredes? He got one out. He got the win.
Yeah. Who was it? I think
it was.
Yeah, I don't know who came in after Rich Hill. It was Hill, and then was it Hill?
It was Paredes. He threw 3 pitches and he got the win. So now you get these guys, it's hardcore sabermetrics guys saying wins don't matter. Well, it's like any statistic needs to be taken with a grain of salt. Any statistic needs to be taken with a grain of salt. I'll bet if I took a list of statistics and took them to a sabermetrics guy of every team and just took out the name of the team and said, okay, which one of these teams won that year? I'd get 10 different answers. Just, you know, if they had to do a blind taste test of the stats. So statistics are fun. I enjoy them, but I don't think it's necessary to enjoy the game. But at the end of the day, I'm with you, Brian. Maybe we'll go together to one of those sometime because that'd be kind of cool. This one's in Pittsburgh, but if there's maybe one in Orange County someday, I'd do that. Or not Orange County, but
I would love to do. And I couldn't agree more about what you said with there's every stat. You cannot use it independently and try to say this is the one stat. I mean, maybe WAR comes the closest, but even that one needs to be taken with a grain of salt, like you said. So, nothing, you can't, people like that say the wins don't matter and RBIs don't matter. Yeah, those are outdated stats, and they're not as important when you're evaluating a player. But I'm not into the, batting average doesn't matter at all. I mean, it matters, it matters because the same people say batting average doesn't matter, say on base percentage matters. Well, batting average is a huge component of all your on base percentage. So inherently it does matter, and the people that use batting average on balls and play BABIP as that a luck stack, they'll throw that out there. They'll be like, oh, so and so BABIP is whatever 390. That's not sustainable. And I'm like, well, if you use it, and you can't just throw that out there independently. Maybe he's hitting the ball really hard, and that's why his average is so high on balls in play. So, like you said, there's no stat out there that should be taken so low and just say, yeah, well, this player is great or this player is bad based on this stat. It's not possible.
Yeah, it's really about any sort of like, any sort of, I demand that you look at it the way I look at it. And, anyway, we talked about that, and I think at the end of the day we agree. And then now I wanted to go on my eye on baseball. I wanted to go and talk about, there it is. I had to show the logo. Charlie works so hard on these logos. I got to show him or he gets pissed. So there's another over at Dodgers Nation. There's an article out there called "The All-Time Dodgers Roster and Lineup with Analysis and Polls." I highly recommend this. Is a fun read. My guest host today is the one who wrote it. We talked about it quite a bit before, Brian, and I don't really want to go into the detail we did last time. But since it came out, what sort of feedback did you get on it?
Yeah, I got some comments about it. People mostly like the idea. They like you were saying, they just really like the idea and were intrigued by the idea of it. And then I got some comments on, oh, so and so, I can't believe so and so lost or whatever, and or so and so beat out whoever in the polls. But there was some recency bias, like we talked about last time. I think older players had a little tougher time, unless they were really obviously a legend or icon, your Jackie Robinson, your Sandy Koufax or whatever. But yeah, it was good. I got a lot of positive feedback on it. I think fans liked it.
I saw in one area where someone was busting your nut with, "Hey, who's Zach Wheat?" And there's this old player that was a serious all-time Dodger. And if you are going to look at all-time and not, time doesn't start when you were born or when I was born. It started long before that. And yeah, go ahead.
The Zach Wheat's almost, like Zach Wheat and Jazzy Vance, those type of players, you give them a pass. Like, okay, you got to go back and do your research and look at them. But then there's some that you're just like, people are, not really knowing who Maury Wills were or Don Newcomb and like that. It's, man, if you're a fan, I would just recommend going back and appreciating your history. Go back and look at some of the all-time great players and, I don't know. But yeah, there was a lot of recency bias, I think, on some of the polls. But overall, they turned out pretty good. We got a lot of people to respond to it, and and I took those into consideration a little bit, and built together a roster, and maybe, who knows, 5 years down the road we'll do it again, and we'll see some of these other players who might qualify, Corey Seager or
right,
whoever.
Right, Sosha. I know you didn't have him on there. I made my wife mad that you had Piazza and not Sosha. I don't want to get into it.
I know your feelings on Piazza. Sosha was solid, but he doesn't carry Piazza's jockstrap when it comes to the ball player stuff. I know you have other issues with Piazza, though. But,
I do.
But Sosha was solid. I like Sosha.
Yeah. No, but that's a fair analysis. Okay, so let's keep going here on Eye on Baseball, because there's another topic here I wanted to talk about, and that was, let's see. Bear with me for a second. A Fangraphs article. A Fangraphs article, basically, this guy's talking about, and this is just me bouncing around different kind of like high-profile baseball sites and stuff. We talked about Brian's article, and then the Sabre guys. Well, Fangraphs is another place you can go if you want. Look it up. Google it. It's nice, this world. I don't have to explain anything. I'd say Google it. Look for it. So this guy wrote an article about the Yankees player-to-player development machine, and one of the things they're doing at the Yankees is they've had, I'll just read it, the Yankees have increasingly had success at turning high upside, high risk, low cost arms into something valuable. Very much of what the Dodgers have done, if you ask me. Taking, as far as going out and fishing for talent, for pitching talent, you have, you go out and you try to find the high risk but low cost guy, because there's no guarantee. If you'd get a guy who did great last year, almost it seems like the percentages are going to say if someone did great last year, he's probably going to not do so well the next year. I mean, it's not a lot of consistency in middle relievers, and at least on the pitching side, it seems to me. Anything, Brian?
Yeah, I think that's an accurate description. I mean, they always, they're trying to kind of strike gold. I think with some arms, they trying to get people at low cost, definitely, and see how they turn out. They've done it. They'll sign these guys, relievers too. The Joe Blattons. They turned to Joe Blatton and Brandon Morrow into great setup guys the last couple of years. Yeah. And then they're always trying to get depth from their rotation. Whether it's adding a Brett Anderson or Brandon Beachy, and not all of them work out. Obviously not all of them are going to work out. Some are not going to work out at all. But if they're low cost, then then obviously you have that luxury to kind of play and see what you can work out and see who develops, because they're not always going to work out. But I think if you keep fishing enough, you're going to get those that kind of blossom and turn your investment into a really good one.
Yeah, and that seems to be the way things are done presently in baseball. So let's just go keep on moving here, because I wanted to get to another one. Let's see. SB Nation, I can't remember the name of this actual site. It's on SB Nation. This guy did a pretty cool article. You can just look it up yourself, but it's about trade retrospectives. I always like looking at things, Brian, in a little bit in hindsight sometimes. In other words, like in a trade is done, and people will talk about what trade should we do, but I like looking back at trades and going, wow, that's what happened there in that one. And this guy did an article about kind of just going back in trade retrospectives, and he did a good job of looking at a lot of different trades. But one of the ones that kind of I noticed was he has, and this might be too small to read here, but he has. Let me just do this real quick. The Dodgers trade with the Red Sox. The old trade when Guggenheim first took over, and they kind of came in with a splash. It's like, we're here and we're spending money, and they came in and they spent all that money on Adrian Gonzalez, Josh Beckett, Carl Crawford, and Nick Punto. Now that was a lot of dough we took on, and it was like, I think it was Guggenheim's way of saying, hey man, we're here to spend money. We're going to take your TV deal away, but we're going to spend money, so don't look over there, because we're going to spend money and we're going to do. So they bring on this group of players. And this guy went back and looked at that trade, and I thought, well, that's kind of interesting, because that was such a big trade. I don't know if you guys can read this on the screen. It might be too small if you're looking at it on your phones. But do you have any idea, Brian? Well, I'm not going to ask you to go through that, but here's what we gave up for that group of players. James Loney, Ruby De La Rosa, Alan Webster, Jerry Sands, and Ivan DeJesus Jr. And at first, you look at that and you think, well, shoot, that's lopsided. I know we took on the payroll and stuff. But this guy, I'm just going to read what this guy wrote. He says, and this is kind of in the midstream, he says, that is actually not nearly as bad as it might look, even though the Dodgers are still paying Gonzalez, and this was written in March, and paid $35 million in dead money to Crawford. This is a great example of why the often cited dollar over WAR metric is so oversimplified. It does not account for the team's revenue, level of competitiveness, or how much they need those extra wins they're acquiring. Paying $12.5 million per win when you are a highly competitive team with a seemingly endless supply of money is fine, which is the Dodgers. Furthermore, the prospect that the Dodgers parted, the prospects the Dodgers parted with never panned out, and then he ends up saying the Dodgers, this trade was no worse than adequate for the Dodgers. So this didn't. We went out and spent a bunch of money, and this trade didn't kill us because of Adrian Gonzalez having time. But in a trade retrospective, you really do know how trades work out after the fact. If I wanted to trade, Puig and Jock Peterson for DeGrom, who knows now? But down in 10 years, someone will know, and it's kind of weird looking back in hindsight on this. But that's just Eye on Baseball. It's going to be a new segment that I'm doing. Brian, any comment about that last segment? You don't have to. If you
no,
like.
Yeah, that's obviously a big trade that everyone kind of goes back to, and I think with enough time has passed now where you can properly evaluate it. I think I would say adequate, because obviously none of those prospects, happened. Jerry Sands, I thought he was going to be pretty good. Nothing happened. De La Rosa, I thought another one. I thought he might blossom or something. Never really happened. So that from that part, nothing. They didn't give up much, but they've been trying to dig their way out ever since. That was kind of it was right after they took on Hanley's salary. They took that salary, and ever since then they've been trying to dig their way out. But I don't think they get, without Adrian Gonzalez there for those 4 or 5 years that he was really solid. They probably don't get to where they were, even though they didn't reach the ultimate goal of winning a World Series. Adrian Gonzalez was a really key member of the team for all that time. Crawford was productive some couple of years there, and Beckett, had a year, I think, where he was all right. But, yeah, so I think it was adequate. I mean, they took on a lot of salary, but they got at least something back.
I think the question for me, though, is they got something out of it, but, I mean, there's probably, for all the money they spent and all that, they'd have got something out of any sort of deal they made with that kind of money. So maybe they could have done a better deal. Yeah. That just seemed to be. But anyway, that was just the kind of a little thing about how there's a lot of stuff out there on the internet, and I'm going to help you guys try to find some of it over time. So there it is.
Yeah, and I would think just to finish up on that, that's a good example about the time that you want to look at a trade. Because even now, people try to examine trades that happen a year, 2, 3 years. I mean, even like the prospects, that we gave up for Rich Hill, so Cotton threw out his elbow, but now Frankie Montez looks pretty good his last 3 starts with Oakland. So I mean, you got to really give a trade some time. I mean, even D. Gordon type trades, it happened when the new ownership came, or new front office came in, not new ownership. Even those trades, you kind of got to fill out for a few years before you make rush judgments. So that's a good example of about the time that you're really going to want to sit back and look at what happened.
Yeah. I mean, totally agree with you there. So there's another thing I want to talk about real quick. And I don't know, you're not going to be able to see this on the screen, Ryan, but basically there was a bad umpiring going on. Let's see, bad umpiring going on during the game. And I don't, I'm used to it. I'm old enough. I've seen bad umpiring. It's not anything new to me. But some people, I think, especially newer fans, they use it as kind of a thing, a way to be interested in the game and a way to kind of look at the game. But I got to tell you, this Sportsnet LA coverage, with every time the Dodgers appear to get a bad call, they got to go to that little box that says, that call hurt us, that call hurt us. And then when a call goes the Dodgers' way, then they say, oh, that call, they don't even talk about it. So my contention is, the truth is, it's not that they care about bad calls. It's not that they care about bad calls at all. Because if Joe and Oral cared about bad calls, every time the umpire made a bad call against the other team, they'd rack up that strike zone symbol. They'd show it, and they'd talk about how, the other team got screwed here. They very rarely do it. They do it sometimes, but they very rarely do it. In the case of the Dodgers getting screwed, it's just relentless. And it's teaching fans bad habits about how to be a fan. It's like, you're going to spend, so now the umpire makes a bad call, and for the next 3 innings, you're seeing tweets about how that call sucked and how that call killed us. Well, hell, no one ever talks about how that call saved our bacon, So it's not really fans. I'm telling you, it's not really the fact that you don't like bad calls. Because if you didn't like bad calls, you'd point it out when it went against you too. You don't like bad calls when it goes against your team. That's all.
Yeah.
It's that simple. Don't act like you don't like bad calls. Stop it. You don't care about bad calls. You could give a crap about bad calls when they go your way. Now, if you're going to be the type of fan that gets upset when the other team is having bad calls and you're having bad calls, then fine, tweet away, complain about bad calls. But stop. And in oral, stop feeding the fans this nonsense. Please, just stop it. Every now and then, if it's a real crucial part of the game and, a game every third or fourth game, fine, bring it up. But just to harp on how that one killed us, it's like, please. Brian?
Yeah. I get you. Yeah, I see that all the time, and it's I think it's just human nature. When something goes your way, then all of a sudden it's fine, and then as soon as a call or two goes the other way, then it's like, oh, we need robot umpires.
Right.
So it's I mean, don't get me wrong, there's bad calls, but it's so hard to. I mean, you gotta you gotta just understand there's going to be bad calls made all the time, every game. I mean, it's hard to judge a ball going 95 miles an hour into this little box. It's human error. But yeah, some umpires are worse at it than others, and you're going to get some bad calls go your way. But yeah, you have to be considered. You just have to know that you're going to get some calls go against you, and you're going to get some calls that go for you. And usually they even out. I mean, at the end of the year, it's not like you're just bombarded with all these bad games that you got to blame the umpires for. And my whole thing, hey, 2 strikes, you got to be swinging anyway. Anything close, don't let the umpire
protect
take
the
bat
play
out of your hands. And that gets back to the approach we were talking about earlier with the offense. So.
Yeah, protect the plate. You're right. With 2 strikes, if you leave it up to the umpire, when I played, it's like if you leave it up to the umpire with 2 strikes and he makes a bad call, bad on you. Because there's 2 strikes. There's a human being back there. I don't want to get into this too deeply. At the end of the day, Brian, when it comes to the strike zone itself, I would not have a problem like in tennis if you have the Cyclops kind of set up a strike zone if they feel like they can make it consistent. I still want an umpire behind the plate calling it so I can see and hear. But maybe he has like a something in his ear and he hears a doot strike or ball and he does his thing. But then I promise you there will still be fans saying the Cyclops is off. It's not calibrated right. They're calibrating it for the others. So there's always going to be the whiners. But what do you think about that?
Yeah, I'm all for technology up to a certain point, and that's something that I've kind of kept an open mind to, like some type of, if you have the technology and you're using it now unofficially for the fans and for the people watching at home, why not do it for the umpire? I think there's some challenges and questions that they would have to do, but I think eventually that's what they're going to move to. Who knows how many years it'll take, but I wouldn't be totally against it. I'm all for expanding the game. I probably consider myself a little bit of purist, like maybe like yourself. You said I don't like a lot of change in the game, like change just for the sake of change or change that drastically changes the game. Like this whole. They talked about in the preseason with the extra innings, putting a guy on second base. Are you kidding me? Are you freaking kidding me?
Yeah.
Something like that just totally changes fundamentally like how the game is played. No, but if you're just using the technology to help better the game and help get the calls right, I'm all for it.
Yeah, I always say with pace of play, if you don't like the speed of or pace of a baseball game, show up an hour late. You're not going to miss that much. Catch the last 2 hours. Enjoy the game the way you want to enjoy it, but let the rest of us just kind of enjoy this game, the way it was built.
Yeah.
But I like your style as far as being open-minded, yet valuing, the way things have been done over time. Just real quick, again, we're on a bunch of different platforms. You can watch us. So today we're on Facebook Live, and I'm not sure where else, but we're out there. Our audience is growing. And it's doing very well, and I want to thank everybody participating. A lot of people chiming in out there on the Facebook chat. Mark Morales and Phil Fountain and you guys, chicken livers. Call me. Come on, challenge me with something, you knuckleheads. But I imagine that a lot of these people are at work, maybe, and they're chiming in from work. Hey, Brian, you're over there at Dodgers Nation with a guy named Gary Lee. Gary Lee's a pretty cool dude. He runs Dodgers Nation. I just want you to pass along to him to bump this show on Dodgers Nation since you're on it. Maybe he won't, but there you go. Hold on.
Right. Okay.
Talkin Blue Live. Who's calling?
Hey, Talkin Blue. How's it going? This is Andrew.
Andrew Sanchez. Is that right?
Yes, sir. How you been, brother?
I'm fine, man. Hey, Andrew, let me ask you, are you an artist?
I am an artist.
Okay, that's what I thought. I looked you up then after you called in one time, and I like to know who my callers are. I looked you up, and you do some pretty cool artwork, I gotta say.
Oh, thank you. That's why I haven't been able to call. I got a gig with Topps Cards.
Oh, nice.
So I've been doing a lot of sketch cards for them.
Well, that's cool. Well, let's talk. What do did you call in because you figured poor Tom needs a caller, man? I better call him.
No. Mark kid. He always lets me know when you're on, and if I got time, I'll call and
right on.
check it out and see what I missed. I saw you guys talking about some of the payroll stuff just now, and then people being upset with the strike zone. And
yeah. Well, what do you say? Well, I mean, you've been listening. What's crossing your mind?
Well, as a fan on the strike zone thing, I'm on the middle. Like, I'll watch it, and you could have caught me yesterday complaining about it, but I wasn't complaining about it as far as the strike zone was. It just when bad calls happen, it kind of ruined the good day game. You rarely get good day games. We're playing the Cubs. This game was supposed to be insane. And
well, did you say good day games?
Yeah, good day games.
What's the difference? What does a bad call have to do with day or night? What do you mean?
No, I'm saying because the way I'm an artist, so when I stay, we usually catch a Dodgers game at night. They play. It's rare we get a good team playing another good team during the day.
Okay.
Especially if it's the Dodgers.
All right. So at the end of the
So
day,
like a good day game. You know what I mean? You have yourself a day beer.
Yeah, okay. All right. So you're saying you were a little more sensitive to the bad calls because you were in the mood for having a good day, and you had your game on, and it's like, don't ruin my game, man. And so the bad calls bothered you.
That's I mean, that was the only thing I was upset about. I mean, if it were happening to them and they were getting upset, I would have been mad just the same way because I don't want to win a game when their best players are getting kicked out.
Okay,
win
well,
is a win, but
then you're one of the.
I'm up for the good sportsmanship of just having two good teams go head to head.
Yeah, you were one of the rare breeds because most of the people that I hear and see whining about the Dodgers about bad calls on social media and even at life and even at the games. You know, they don't say, oh, when the other team gets a bad call, they just go, oh, look at that. That went our way. That's pretty good. That umpire's doing all right. I mean, he made a bad call. You know, things happen, right? But, you know, and then when it's against us, it's like, oh, no, are you kidding me? Are you kidding me? For 3 innings, now I got to talk about this lousy call. Anyway.
It's too much. It's something that just happened, and it's a small thing in baseball to worry about. Is unless it's like consistently consistent. If the umpire is just having the worst day of his career, then yeah, I mean,
it's really one way. I mean, if he can be having a bad one, but if everybody's suffering, it doesn't bother me. If it's obviously one way. I've watched games where I didn't have a horse in the race, and it did feel like the umpire was really putting the hammer to one particular team. And usually it's the team that's barking at him from the first or second inning for some reason or another. And he's just like, okay, whatever. Now I'm going to err to the other side. But yeah. What else? What else is going on, Andrew?
Yeah, just that is a little upsetting losing that series to the Cubs. I really wanted to take that.
Yeah, I did too, and that first game was a little rough. But then, I mean, that second game was the first game was great. The second game was a little rough. I mean, who came in and gave it? Oh, geez, was it Hudson came in and gave up that homer? In that second game.
What was it?
No, it was Stewart. I'm sorry, Brock Stewart, the love of Dodger fans right now.
Oh.
He's not doing very well, I mean, maybe he's not. A major league caliber pitcher. I don't know. He's not doing very well.
So, I mean, I've been one of the biggest fans of, and I'll probably stir some stuff up now. You can ask anybody that's known me as a Dodger fan. I've always been a big supporter of Yini and Baez.
Yeah, I like him. I like them both of them. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, some of our not closers, but just to come in relief, and they've been really. I mean, especially Yimmy after that combined no hitter, he's really not been up to par.
Oh, really? I haven't noticed that.
Yeah, it just seems like every time there's Yimmy's coming out, and then people get on, some people come in.
Yeah, well, he pitched the 4-3 game. He pitched the one the Dodgers won, the first game, I guess, and then of the series, and he gave up 2 hits in 1 inning, struck out 2, got a 4.30 ERA. But he is a major league. Yimmy is a major league pitcher. Baez is definitely a major league pitcher. Is Brock Stewart a major league pitcher? He's still got to prove that to me. So, but
no,
I mean,
yeah,
he is.
You're right.
He's still
just. It just seems like the relief with the Dodgers seems to be with relief and grief.
Right.
But I guess you could say that with anybody's bullpen. It's
yep. That's how.
Hardly anybody really sharp out there right now.
You know, a bullpen gets very little credit and all the blame. So it's kind of.
Yeah, you know what? You're right. It's hard to be that way.
All right. Anything else, bro?
No. How about you guys? What do you guys got anything to reach out about?
No, we're just. Are you watching online right now?
No, I'm not.
Oh, okay. Because I'm gonna continue on and.
I'll hop back on and watch and listen, see who else you can pick up and
sweet.
See what other stuff you guys would talk about. It was always nice chatting with you guys over at Talkin Blue.
You too, man, and good luck with the art. Keep it up. It looks good. I remember. I don't want to get into it right now because this is about the Dodgers, but it was good. I enjoyed it. Seriously.
Yeah, man. If you got any questions about it, go ahead and message me, man. We can talk about it. Thanks for everything.
All right, man. Love the artist. Be
I'll
good.
talk to you guys later.
All right. Bye.
All right, bye.
Anything on that, Brian, that you wanted to chime in on?
No, yeah, we pretty much hit everything already. So I kind of agree with what we were already talking about with the calls and all that. And yeah, regarding the bullpen, it's just I'll be doing a piece here next week on Dodgers Nation about midterm grades or mid-season grades. And I think if there's one that was still lagging behind, I think the bullpen. I mean, we've had our bright moments and not so bright moments, I think, but yeah, it's still a work in progress after Jansen, I think, but it's we'll see how it goes.
Well, there's some there's some guys. I mean, Fields has been freaking awesome. No?
Yeah, it's just how there's certain guys you just don't trust, like sometimes because Fields is susceptible to the long ball. His fastball, when his fastball flattens out, but he can be really unhittable at times too. So it's just they're filled with. The Dodgers bullpen is currently filled with people that's kind of just like, you never really know, with when they're coming in. So like after Jansen, I really like Zingrani, but when I let him hurt, and I don't know when he's coming back, if he's coming back, but he was a piece I really liked there. Now you got, Liberatore back up, and I used to be a fan of his, but I don't know about his consistency. And you guys are talking about Brock Stewart. He's another one I was hoping for more from so far. I mean, he's still, young. He's still getting his feet wet. He hasn't had a bunch of experience, but you would like to see some progress from him.
Yeah.
And then you got your biases of the world and stuff, and you know how that goes. So, I mean,
I do.
I don't know.
I do. And then Goodell, I mean, he's doing pretty good. I hear you now. Actually, you make a good point. My feeling was, hey, these guys are doing great, but there is a little bit of uncertainty in the bullpen, as far as the lights out 8th guy, Kenley, of course, and then maybe a real strong 7th inning guy. But let me just see. I just want to point out again that Brian is with Dodgers Nation. Dodgers Nation is a big site that has a lot of people that write for them. They got a couple guys that they do a talk show over there that are a lot of fun to watch. And thanks for letting us borrow Brian for the show today. Gary Lee, I want to tell you I appreciate it. So we're on Facebook Live today. Let's see. We do 27 Sundays, 18 Wednesdays, and 7 Thursdays. Today's what is today? Today's a Wednesday. We'll be back next Sunday. Yeah. On next Sunday, I think probably Ron Cervenka will be sitting in. I just want to say good job, Dodgers. Well, not a good job right now, Dodgers. You need to be hitting the cookie. I know you hit the ball hard, but let's hit the ball a little bit more. What am I trying to say? How do I want the Dodgers to hit the ball, Brian?
You want them to hit it hard. You want to hit it consistently, and I think eventually it'll drop in, and hopefully we don't have to deal with the crazy wind up in New York like they had to deal with in Chicago. So,
yeah.
But yeah, just hit the ball. Let's have some situational hitting, some situational baseball, move the runners over, try not to strike out so much. But yeah, I think they'll, like I said in the beginning, I don't think it's a major concern yet, but hopefully they get their stuff together. And they're filled with these streaky hitters so far, though. Bellinger looked like he's back in a little bit of a slump, after he came out of his. And then you have other people like Grandal and Jock who are prone to slumps. So, I don't know. We'll see how it goes.
Right. Oh, that's at Mark Morales. Mark Morales. All right. So I'm just reading some of the stuff on Facebook. All right. Did you see this list in front of you, Brian? Oh, you're not on Facebook.
What's that?
All right. Here. This is for the people that are actually can see it. What is this a list of?
Oh.
I'm going to read it off, and then you can just tell me. Sandy Koufax, 62 Koufax, 254. I guess you'd have to see this. Anyway, it's a list of the times that the Dodgers won the ERA championship or the ERA title. And I just want to kind of point this out for some of the veteran Dodger fans out there. Koufax, Kershaw. You can say those two names in the same breath for sure. Alejandro Pena in 1984. That was probably before you were born, Brian.
Yeah, that wasn't before I was born. I was still young, But I asked that. I found that stat somewhere. And I asked on trivia not too long ago, probably like a month or two ago. I asked this: who led the Dodgers in ERA in 1984? And all these people thought Fernando or whoever we had, Jerry Royce at the time, or whoever it was. No one thought. I didn't think of Alejandro Pena because I remember him as a good reliever. I forgot he came up, and started some games too. So
yeah. I forgot about him completely. And then Kevin Brown won in 2000, and Kershaw. Zach Greinke, 2015, a 1.66 ERA. I forgot. What a phenomenal year that was for him.
Yep.
Just incredible.
Yep.
All right. So I think I'm going to do a couple of pieces of business here, Brian. If you can't talk about the Dodgers and if you can't watch the Dodgers and you can't listen to the radio, go to Auto Club Raceway, folks, of Pomona. Out there at Auto Club Raceway, you can take your family, and it's so noisy out there. You don't have to listen to your kids scream, and they love it. It's a dollar value piece of entertainment. And In-N-Out Burger Foundation, wanted to say thanks to them for everything they do. They really do help the kids out, and I don't want to get political on this show, but help them out, man. They do a lot to try to help kids, and they don't get out there and kind of toot their horn, which is the kind of foundation I like. They just do it. Lindsay Schneider, if you're out there, call me. And thanks to the girls at Dodger Fan Weekly who let me piggyback and ride the Dodger Fan Weekly train and use it to kind of reach out to Dodger fans. And let's see, what else do we got? To all the fans out there that are going to be watching this on replay, don't call in because it's not live anymore. Brian, I'm going to let you. Anything else you want to say before I wrap it up?
No, Tom. Thanks for having me on again. It was a pleasure. I look forward to doing some more. Whenever I have time, I'll definitely jump on, or I'll even give a call in when I can. And yeah, if you guys are out there looking for some stuff to read next week, I should have a article about the report card halfway season report card. The Dodgers reached their halfway mark. The 81st game, I think, is next Wednesday or Thursday. So around that time frame is when I'll try to release it and basically look at the different areas of how they're doing. Offense, I'll grade their offense. I'll grade their starting pitching, their bullpen, things of that nature. So look out for that on DodgersNation.com. And yeah, thanks for having me on, Tom.
Yeah, you bet. And folks, the Dodger Nation is a good place to go and connect with other Dodgers fans. I can't emphasize enough how there's a lot of different places to go, and they're all great. But Dodgers Nation is a good one to go because they're very comprehensive, and when Brian writes his articles, this isn't just someone sitting down saying, I feel like writing something, and they write, 4 paragraphs. This dude puts time and thought into his articles, and it shows. And so it's very well worth your time as a Dodger fan, if you're interested, to kind of stop by there and check it out. So all that said, thanks for tuning in. Charlie, start up the tune. Oh, you're going to do that song. I like that song. All right, Dodger fans. So we're going to Chicago. We probably should have won 2 out of 3 of those, but tip your hat. The other team, played good baseball. A lot of good defense in that series, and that's kind of what playoff baseball looks like here in June. I said the Dodgers would be in first place on June 15th, and I was wrong. We're still a couple games out, but when I said it, we were like 10 games out and really reeling, and so it was a pretty bold statement. All that said, I just want to say thanks for tuning in. We'll be back Sunday after the next series. And I'm just going to wrap up by saying this. Go Dodgers.